Have you ever noticed that the guy who says the least is almost always the one everyone wants to hear more from? Everyone seems to be interested in him. There's a psychological reason for that, and once you understand it, you'll never approach social situations the same way again. Today I'm going to break it down across 5 points, and the most powerful one is about a specific mistake almost everyone makes that instantly kills their magnetism without them even realizing it. We'll get to that in point 4. Let's start with the foundation. 1. Silence signals confidence. Here's something your brain does automatically. Within seconds of meeting someone, it scans for anxiety. And one of the clearest signals it picks up on is how much that person needs to fill the silence. Watch what happens in any social situation. The person who feels nervous talks constantly. Every gap, every pause, every moment of quiet, they cover it immediately. They treat silence like a problem that needs to be solved as fast as possible. And here's what makes this so damaging. People sense that energy. They can't always name it, but they feel it. There's something slightly exhausting about being around someone who never lets a moment breathe. The people who are genuinely magnetic operate completely differently. Psychologists call this low reactivity. A person with low reactivity is simply comfortable in the space around them. They don't feel the urge to respond to everything immediately. They don't jump at every comment. They don't chase every reaction. And that comfort, that quiet sense of, I don't need this conversation to go anywhere in particular to feel okay, is felt by everyone around them. It creates a specific kind of gravitational pull. People lean in. They want to know what this person thinks because they're clearly not going to say something unless it's actually worth saying. You can't fake low reactivity, but you can start building it. And the next point shows you exactly how to practice it in real life. 2. The power of the pause. Most people think confidence sounds like having the right answer, but it actually sounds like this. No, I didn't freeze. The silence you just felt is what we're talking about. Most guys are so focused on what to say that they completely overlook how they say it. And one of the simplest shifts you can make costs you absolutely nothing. It actually requires you to do less. Use the power of silence to your advantage. Here's what I mean. When someone asks you a question, let a full second pass before you answer. When you make a statement, let it land before you add anything to it. When you're in a conversation, don't rush from sentence to sentence. Let the important moments breathe. The silence around your words is what gives them weight. Most people do the exact opposite. They rush from one sentence to the next, fill every micropause with filler words, and treat every moment of quiet like it needs to be covered immediately. And what that communicates is that they're slightly uncomfortable, like they're not fully confident in what they just said, so they keep talking to cover it. When you pause deliberately, the effect is completely different. Your statements land harder because you give people time to actually absorb them. And it makes you seem way more confident because you're not immediately justifying your argument. You let it land. Your stories become more engaging because the silence builds tension. And in tense moments, when someone challenges you or tries to get a reaction, a calm pause sends a message no comeback ever could. It signals that whatever just happened didn't rattle you, that you're in no hurry to prove anything to anyone. Be honest, what's the one social situation where silence feels the most uncomfortable for you? Is it a first date, a job interview, or in a group conversation? Let me know in the comments. Using pauses deliberately makes you seem grounded and confident in yourself, but staying calm and deliberate is only part of the equation. There's something else that makes certain people feel endlessly fascinating, and it has also to do with saying less. 3. Mystery is magnetic. Here's a psychological principle that will make you instantly more magnetic, and once you hear it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Think about the people you've been most drawn to in your life, the ones you kept thinking about after a conversation. Were they the ones who told you everything about themselves right away? Who answered every question completely, explained every decision, and left nothing to the imagination? Almost certainly not. They were the ones where every conversation felt like it revealed something new, where you left feeling like there was still more to discover, like you hadn't quite figured them out yet. This is one of the core drivers of attraction, and it has nothing to do with looks, status, or how entertaining you are. It's just about being not fully readable. And the interesting thing is, you don't have to manufacture that quality or pretend to be someone you're not. You just have to stop doing the thing that kills it. Most people, when they meet someone new or want to make a good impression, give everything away immediately. They share their whole story. They explain their opinions in full detail. They answer every question with maximum information. And they wonder why, after 20 minutes, the other person seems slightly less interested than they were at the start. Most people answer questions like they're expected to give a complete account of themselves, but the most magnetic people answer just enough to spark interest, and then they move on. Let's say someone asks what you've been up to lately. Instead of walking them through your whole week, you say, honestly, it's been a weird few days, but in a good way. That's it. If they're curious, they'll ask. And if they ask, that's already magnetism in action. They're leaning toward you. And if they don't ask, that's fine as well. Then they probably weren't that interested to begin with, and that's useful information too. And when someone keeps pushing for the full story, when they really want to know every detail, you don't have to give it to them. You can just smile and say, that's a story for another time. The same goes for your opinions. You don't need to explain every layer of your reasoning behind them. State your take clearly and let it stand. The moment you start over-justifying, you take away the space for people to wonder. And that space, the gaps, the open questions, the feeling that there's still more to discover is exactly what makes someone keep coming back. You're not playing games, you're just leaving room for people to stay curious. And curiosity is what keeps people coming back. And speaking of over-justifying, 4. Never over-explain. There is a habit that almost everyone has, and it quietly destroys your presence in absolutely every social interaction. Picture this. Someone makes a simple decision, choosing a restaurant, sharing an opinion, or saying no to a plan, and then immediately starts justifying it. I picked this place because I thought you'd like it, and the reviews are really good, and I know it's a bit out of the way, but I figured it would be worth it, and if you don't want to go, we can totally do something else. By the time they've finished, you've forgotten what the original point even was, and something has shifted in how you see them, even if you can't explain exactly why. What's actually happening is this. Every extra sentence you add after a point has already been made sends a signal. I'm not confident you'll accept what I just said, so let me keep talking until you do. It's approval seeking disguised as explanation, and people feel that. The most magnetic people have a completely different relationship with their own words. They say what they think, once clearly, and then they stop. They don't add extra explanation, they don't soften every statement, they don't walk back their opinion the moment they sense any friction. They make their point and let it stand. And here's what that does over time. When you consistently say what you mean and then stop talking, your words start to carry real weight. People pay closer attention because they've learned you're not going to repeat yourself or fill in the gaps for them. What you say becomes worth listening to, precisely because there isn't much of it. One sentence, one time, then silence. That's the move, and it connects directly to the final point, which might be the most counterintuitive in this entire video. 5. Ask, don't tell. Most guys think the way to be interesting is to say interesting things, to share their best stories, their sharpest opinions, or their most impressive experiences. And the more they talk, the more interesting they assume they seem. But here's what's actually happening. In most social situations, everyone is doing exactly that, competing to say something impressive, waiting for their turn to perform. And when everyone is talking, nobody is really being heard. The whole thing becomes background noise. The person who breaks this pattern isn't the one with the best thing to say, it's the one who asks the best questions. Wait, what made you decide to do that? How did that actually turn out? I'm curious, what was going through your head when that happened? Watch what happens when you ask something like this instead of making a statement. The other person's energy shifts. They actually engage. They start thinking instead of just responding on autopilot. And you, without having said anything particularly impressive, have just become the most interesting person they've talked to in a while. Here's why this works so well. The person who asks the questions controls where the conversation goes. They decide what gets explored, what gets dropped, what the interaction is actually about. That's a form of quiet leadership that most people feel attracted to. And on top of that, asking genuine questions makes people feel something rare, actually heard. Actually interesting, like someone cared enough to be curious about them specifically. The paradox is that the less you talk about yourself, the more fascinating you become. And if you want to go even deeper on this, specifically what to ask and how to ask it to make people feel genuinely drawn to you, you can watch this video.